Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game for our last review of 2016 as we went to the champions of England, Leicester City, and we've just got beat. We just got beat 1-0. Michail Antonio finishes joint record scorer for most headed goals in a calendar year with Tim Cahill rather than making the record of his own, which is a bit of a disappointment, but fair play to Michail. Fantastic achievement. We didn't end the season. We didn't end the year on a high, Charlie, but it looked like Leicester City were determined to in the first 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, they came out absolutely flying. They changed. I was fully expecting a 4-4-2 as they always play, but they changed it up. One up top with three behind, and those three behind ran their socks off. They were going up and down consistently, moving around, changing about, and that really worked. We really struggled to deal with them and their early crosses for a very good chunk of time at the beginning there, and I was very concerned we would be more than one down.
Well, Slimani hit the post after just 3 minutes on the clock, coming down the right-hand side. Fantastic cross, fantastic header, bang, off the post. Warning for West Ham United. We did not listen to that warning, though, did we, Gonzo?
We didn't. And, I mean, what you had today were two teams that mirrored each other's tactics in many respects. And you talk about that cross coming in. That's how we were set up. We were set up to play from wide areas and to cross over to the big man. And Leicester were set up to cross from wide areas to the big man, and they just seemed to be applying their system with the wingers and the fullbacks to the big fella a lot better than we were. So, yeah, it was early warnings for us, and we didn't take heed defensively, and we didn't really deal with their wingers, but also we didn't get our wingers into the game either, so as we could try and do some more damage over to, with Andy Carroll in the box.
I disagree with that. I think Leicester set up to supply their big man up front. I don't think we did. That's why Ranieri took Manes off the right wing. He said, you can't cross it because you always try and cut inside, i.e. like Dimitri Payet does. So you go in the middle and we'll put Albrighton on the right wing, who will just whip. And that's exactly what he did. He just kept whipping them in and we couldn't deal with it. I think that was the difference. And it was very obvious from early on. But they were set up to supply Slimani in the air. I mean, 45% of his goals now since the start of last season have come from headers. Like almost half his goals are coming from headers. It's very clear. We've got Andy Carroll. The boy didn't get a header until the 85th minute. He didn't get a header at the goal. I don't think we set up to cross it into Andy Carroll. I think that's where ultimately all fell down. But
I think we did. I think that's just as good as Bilic can do it. I think we were set up to play with a target man. I think the 4-4-2. I think that was his idea. I just don't think as I said, I've always maintained it. I think tactically, Bilic doesn't really know what he's doing. And we've got wily old Ranieri there, the Italian coach, who was pulling his fullbacks bound to defend with the help of the wingers. Then they were released. I just think he knows how to implement a system. I think it was probably Bilic's idea that IU was going to be catching some of these knockdowns from Andy Carroll, that Cresswell was going to be. He played better today, Cresswell, apart from their goal, and that Antonio was going to supply some crosses from wide areas. Just don't think he knows how to implement his own plans.
Well, I think if he was expecting Antonio to supply crosses, he's very naive because I've yet to see Antonio whip in more than 2 decent crosses in a game. So if you're expecting him all of a sudden to turn it on at Leicester City, I think it's a bit strange and a bit naive. I don't think we're set up to cross it, but I had no complaints with the lineup when I seen it because an unchanged 11 from the side is just stuck forward past Swansea. It was just the way we let Leicester overrun us, and we had 2 wide players in Payet and Antonio who really don't like defending, and Leicester City had fullbacks who liked attacking, and it caused mayhem down both sides. Gray was getting at Nordveit with Chilwell overlapping. Albrighton was going down the right. Mahrez was coming over to Albrighton's side. Payet looked confused for the first half an hour because he didn't know where to go or what to do, and then that's how they got their goal. Albrighton went down the side. Payet was standing around looking at 3 Leicester players. Cresswell got dragged into the middle. It was fantastic play the first one. And Charlie, you've been sitting listening to us, and we both disagreed. What's your thoughts on us? You look like you've been thinking away there.
I don't think we should have set out to try and whip crosses into Carroll. I think you look at their centre-backs, Hoof and Morgan, they're set up to defend crosses. They're big lumps, basically. And, although I think Andy Carroll can outmuscle them and outhead them any day of the week, I think it would be a silly thing to do. I think Leicester are slow at the back, and the obvious route for me was to put Antonio up front by himself and then have IU Lanzini and Payet behind him trying to deliver through ball. I think numbers, but the majority of their play came from down our left side. They saw Payet didn't want to track back. They put two people who are very good at putting the ball box into those positions, and we're just whipping in early crosses towards Slimani all day, and we just couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle it at all. We looked like we couldn't deal with it whatsoever, and it was very obvious. But I just think we set up wrong from the outset.
Right, it was 1-0 Leicester City after 20 minutes. Slimani, as you may have guessed by our discussion, got on the header from an all-biting cross. Fantastic goal in the end by Leicester. We didn't really get into it until the last 5-10 minutes of the half, but when we got into it, Gonzo, we really got into it.
Yeah, I mean, we created a few chances, and I mean, there was one particular part where Cresswell whipped over a beautiful cross, and Antonio nearly got on the end of it, and we looked to be attacking a little bit better, but there was also that lovely chance where Antonio hit the bar, and Antonio keeps on impressing me, I've got to say. There's some things you can coach in football, and there's some things you just got a natural knack for. And Antonio has a natural knack for knowing where that goal is. All right, it hit the post on that occasion. He also has a natural knack of being able to find a bit of space. And I think, you know, when you've got Antonio, when you've got Payet in the team, there's always a chance that you are going to be able to score. And towards the end of the second half, end of the first half. Although, hold on a second, I was quite confident that we could get back into it. But I think the early part, we're splitting hairs, whether it's crosses or whatever. The early part of the game, we were undoubtedly trying to put the ball onto Andy Carroll's head, and I just think the reason that we played a little bit better is that we sort of stopped trying to do that towards the end of the first half, and that helped a great deal.
Yeah, then the first half, there was a scramble in the box as Noble played in Antonio, and then Payet had his shot saved. He must have been a millimetre away from getting a tap in, but there was a great block in the end by Leicester. Antonio hit the bar from, but as Gonzo said there, Aaron Cresswell was whipping in cross after cross. Delicious, those crosses, fantastic stuff to see. And then Payet got a free kick, good save as well. And then at the other end, Nordvik made a last-ditch tackle to intercept what looked like a goal on a plate for Slimani's unbelievable clearance. And then Antonio and Ayew broke up at the other end. Minutes later, actually seconds later, they went 2-on-1, but didn't quite make the final pass. And then Payet's free kick hit the wall, but straight at the other end again, end-to-end stuff. Mahrez's free kick, fantastic save by Randolph. He's impressing more and more every single game. But Charlie, end-to-end stuff at the end of that first half. Difficult to keep up as a referee. We'll speak about refereeing in the second half, I'm sure, but it's very entertaining end-to-end stuff there.
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for him. He had a hell of a lot of decisions to make all of the time. I think actually, you mentioned him a few times. I think actually why we struggled so much in the first half was, for me, down to Antonio and Ayew. I don't know where Ayew was playing. I don't know where Antonio was playing. Antonio sometimes was well out on the right. Sometimes he was further forward centrally than Andy Carroll was. And then Ayew was moving about to sort of either cover him or Antonio was covering. I don't know which way around it was, but that stifled our play. We couldn't get any passing forward, and so those opening few moments, we were just pumping balls long and forward, just looking for Andy Carroll. It was a bit of a waste. And then once we actually got down, Ayew got more involved in the play. We started to really look a bit quicker, and we started to get more end-to-end play, more exciting stuff. And yeah, like I said, I do feel a little bit sorry for the ref because he had a hell of a lot of decisions to make, and I only think, in hindsight, he got two of them wrong, to be honest.
What I will say very quickly, it's a good point what you make there about not knowing who was playing right wing, etc. What I will say, against Swansea, that was the case as well, where it worked beautifully. They were all covering for each other out on that right wing. Even Carroll was getting out there. I mean, if you look at the Leicester goal, it's Andy Carroll that's bombing it back, trying to cover Dimitri Payet, because he realises Payet ain't getting back. I'm going to have to go back. He doesn't quite get it. Half-time, 1-0 Leicester City. West Ham came out in possibly a different side, but we'll get on to that. Start the second half, though. Big call, Anthony Taylor. Gonzo, did he get it wrong? MRT went in very high on Mark Noble's knee.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the mark, no, but it went all fuzzy. Then it cut back in. He was just lying on the floor for ages. You'll have to ask Charlie.
Charlie?
I think he got it wrong. I think it was a red. It's difficult to make because, I don't know, he's too far away from him, so his leg's completely outstretched. His studs are showing. His foot at one point goes above his head, and it just comes down. It makes not a huge amount of contact with Noble, and I think that's probably why he got away with it. But if he was 2 inches further forward, he goes straight into Mark Noble's knee and takes him out in a really, really bad way. And so I think it was a red just because it was reckless and dangerous.
I don't think it was a difficult decision at all. I'm surprised he stayed on the park there. He's well out of control. He's in no control whatsoever. He's nowhere near the ball. He's not just missed the ball. He's about a second and a half late, which is a long time in football when you're going in for a tackle. He's so late. And the fact that, as you said, Charlie, he catches him on the way down. So his foot was actually higher up than it was when he actually made the contact. His foot, Mark Noble took a step forward. He could have got studs in the face and everything there. That was a shocking tackle. I can't believe he stayed on the pitch for that one, actually. Then Lanzini had to come on for the injured Mark Noble. Feghouli came on for Ayew. Possible good news, possible bad news, depends how you want to see it. Feghouli today, the Algeria squad for African Nations came out today. Feghouli is not in the squad, so he will not be going there. So we've got him / we're stuck with him. Depends on your perception of our right winger / attacking midfielder / left winger. I'll talk about him in a minute. He annoyed me a little bit. Then Aaron Creswell whacked in a free kick, took a deflection. I thought that was a world-class save by Kasper Schmeichel, actually. When the ball's travelling that fast, the ball changes direction that quickly. World-class to get down that low. Then, Gonzo, did you see the second challenge then? This time a West Ham player should have maybe been sent off. You can give your answer on this.
Nordveit. Oh, big time. Big time. It was an assault. It was, funny enough, Karate Kid was on the Family Channel a couple of nights ago, and it was reminiscent of that. He should have gone. He absolutely should have gone. So it's funny because obviously I missed a Noble one, so he's got 2 key decisions wrong. But actually, it was difficult for the referee to take. So the 2 big decisions he got wrong. But actually, it was a load of professional fouls, many by our own team. They're not silly either, Leicester. There was a lot of professional fouls going on. I think he had a tough job today. But yeah, clearly the 2 big decisions he got wrong, unless you think Nordveit should have stayed on the pitch.
No, I'm not even going to ask Charlie. There's no point in debating this one. I don't think that's a clear red. As day is day and night is night. That is a clear red all day long. I forgot until just now. That's just tricking my memory, Gonzo. Robert Huth's tackle on Payet in the first half. Was that a red card for you? A booking? Was it even a free kick?
It was definitely a free kick. Funny enough, which brings I want to say something about free kicks and corners. The studs were showing. I think by the rules of the game, he was sort of slightly airborne, wasn't he, when he did it, and the studs were showing. I think if that is in the rules of the game, that's not allowed, then perhaps he should have gone. But he certainly was lenient with him later on, Huth, when I thought he perhaps should have got a second yellow. He was a bit lenient then, the ref. But as I said, I don't want to go too hard on the ref because I thought it was difficult for him today. Free kicks, a couple of decent free kicks from Payet, but Payet troubles me somewhat, and I like it. I'm not one of these ones, get rid of Payet, get Payet off the pitch. No, he's highly likely to create a goal at some point. We should just be putting him in a position where he doesn't have to defend. But give him a free kick from a wide area. He seems to deliver it really well. Place it 2 or 3 yards just further in and turn it into a corner. He's constantly hitting the first man, and it's getting very, very frustrating, and he's much, much better than that. He is one of the best deliverers of a football I think I've ever seen. And why is he constantly hitting that first man from corners? Just very frustrating, because you get a free kick, you thought, oh, we got a chance here. But then you get a corner and you think, oh, well, it's just going to hit the first man, isn't it? It's just annoying, really.
Some of his free kicks are crosses. I don't think are that good. He does do some good ones occasionally, but sometimes they are. I mean, the one in the first half of Creswell hit sweetly after. I mean, that was like down at knee height by the time it hit the box. It is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Then Andy Carroll finally got his header on a cross in the 85th minute. This is what annoyed me. Feghouli comes on. Fernandes replaced Chekiki as well late on, but this is what annoys me. Feghouli comes on. I thought, this is the right sub. A winger. Get the ball wide and just cross it. Put Antonio up beside Carroll and cross it. But we didn't even do that. Do you think we were lacking something going forward today, Charlie?
I constantly think we're lacking going forward, and I think it's to do with the way we play. I don't get. We haven't clicked quite as a team like we did last year, and that's incredibly obvious to see. And I think Feghouli, when he came in, there's clearly been chances. For example, the one where ball came across and Andy Carroll almost was like, "Why didn't you just tell me you were in the perfect position to put it in?" He's clearly not clicked with the rest of the team yet and doesn't quite know what to do. And that's been a problem for everyone. No one's quite got going yet. And I feel like we constantly got this struggle. We always look turgid and torrid. And I think when everyone talks about getting in a big striker and all these other things, I constantly look at it and I go, yeah, but they're not going to be on the end of these things either. So it makes no real difference. It frustrates me to see a team with that much talent going forward struggle to go forward so much, because they shouldn't, yet for some reason they just do, and I can't really figure out why.
Gonzo, do you feel that we should have got more crosses in? This is what annoys me. It's like, I just don't understand why he went put them in. I know Charlie says they have big centre backs, but Andy Carroll is really quite clever in the way that he gets rid of centre backs quite often. Look at Swansea last week; he was at the back post up against right back. Carroll knows how to peel off defenders. He knows where to go. He gets people in among him, instructions so that the defenders can't get near him. And he knows how to play defenders. I've seen him beat the best of defenders in there. I'm not buying this. There are big lumps. Don't beat Andy Carroll, because Andy Carroll can beat anyone in there, including Robert Hoof. Robert Hoof was on a booking. He had to be careful. You should have had Carroll up in the air against him more times than ever, because he knows how to draw fouls, Andy Carroll. And I was so disappointed that we didn't just cross it.
Well, I thought the shape we were set up to cross, I just don't think it was then implemented. I think if you're going to play Andy Carroll, then you've got to play him a certain way. And so I would say that, yeah, more crosses should be going in. But I'm actually going to disagree with you and sort of defend Charlie a little bit here, because actually I think Andy Carroll was good for about 6 games a season when he can bully and get the better of central defenders. I think the majority of time, and I've seen it a lot of the times over the years, sometimes he just comes up to defenders and they're not bothered by him. And those defenders today were not bothered by Andy Carroll. I thought Andy Carroll had an absolutely terrible game, and he wasn't helped. He was not helped by the tactics. I'll give you that. So basically, if you play him, a very set of circumstances have got to happen for Andy Carroll to be able to have a good game. We don't do that game plan. We didn't put it in place. We didn't basically... We played a 4-4-2. We didn't instruct those players to get the delivery for him. He was too deep. But those are tactical decisions. The manager's got to say, get further forward. He's got to give him some instructions and give the wingers some instructions to do better. But that cross in the 80th, and it was the 85th minute, I actually wrote it down on a bit of paper there. That's the difference. And people might say, oh, he was under a little bit of pressure. No, what you saw then, that was his charge, and that was the difference between him and Slimani today. And
no, wait. I'm not having that. Slimani missed an earlier chance. He hit the post, but he still missed a chance. Slimani got more than one chance. Our striker got one.
He got one, but also his general build. I wrote on the forum, actually, when he gets involved in general play, it's absolutely atrocious. There was one bit in the first half where he did actually manage to get the ball. He trapped the ball. He took it not round a couple of players. He managed to defend it. Then he passed it out wide, I think possibly to either Ayew or Antonio on the right wing. He sprayed a pass. He retained possession for us. The rest of the time, he's getting involved in play. He's rubbish. He just can't do it at all. And, I mean, you can say that, Slimani had more chances. Slimani was better than him today. I don't care what anyone says. Slimani's much, much better than Carroll today in his finishing, obviously, and in his general all-round play. And I just think if you're going to play Andy Carroll, do it to him right. Because if what you're going to do is you're going to play Andy Carroll and then try and play football around him, forget it. Because he's not the player. And I just think our team and our tactics and everything is totally confused with him in the team under the current format. And I totally understand what Charlie says. If we do bring another striker and say we do get Jermaine Defoe, crikey, he needs to sort something out in midfield so we actually get that fella the ball, because I just think we do have major attacking problems. And Carroll and Ayew, why did we spend 20 million on that guy, by the way? I don't know where, as you say, we don't know where he plays. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he does. He's off to the African Cup of Nations. You say Faguli's saying, staying. Well, I'll tell you what, I will go, won't miss him. No, I don't think Andy Carroll played well at all today.
I'm not saying he played well. I'm just saying we did not. I agree with you to an extent. We didn't give him the service, but this is where it gets a bit silly because, as I said at the start, 45% of Slimani's goals since the start of last season have been headers. So cross the ball to him, he will score. We've got one of the best headers in the league, but for some reason, we just won't cross the bloody ball to him. We dilly-dally about it. Aaron Creswell seems like the only person that's a case of when he gets the ball, he gets his head up, goes, where is he? Bang, in it goes. He seems to be the only player that does it. Now, I'm not saying we do it all the time, but Leicester didn't do it all the time today. But when they got it wide and they got a chance, that ball went in. And Slimani knew it was coming. Andy Carroll doesn't know it's coming half the time because it doesn't actually come. So he's got to try and go deep and get the ball because the only way he gets involved. I feel like it is frustrating, and it does, whether it goes to Bilic or whether it goes to the players, one of the two, but we need to start getting the crosses in. And I thought, when Feghouli was coming on, I thought, fantastic, he's changing it. He's going wide, and he's getting the cross in. At one point, Feghouli was over on the left wing. I was like, what are you actually doing there? Why are you over there? Get back on the right side and start whapping them in early. Charlie, what do you want to say before we move on to other players quickly?
I watched an interview earlier on this evening with Mikel Antonio. I can't remember, it was with Tubes or someone. I don't remember who it was with. But he said that when he was talking about Bilic's tactics and where the position of our players, he said that Bilic is sort of them roam a little bit and move about a little bit and change up, and we see that when we see Carroll dropping back or whatever and Antonio pushing forward or whatever. But if you think about it and look at our tactics, if, for example, in between the two centre-backs actually touched the ball in that game, he really wouldn't touch it that often. He drops deep in order to collect the ball and then tries to lay off a pass, and then nothing happens. It still doesn't get forward. It's incredibly frustrating because the players we have in those positions should be able to do it. If Andy Carroll was on the pitch, cross the ball into him, it's fine. I'm not saying don't cross the ball at all to him, but with the players we have on the pitch, they should be able to break down Leicester's defence. They just should. And I'm not dissing Leicester in that sense. I'm just saying it as a fact. We've got Payet, Lanzini, Antonio, Ayew, Andy Carroll, Fernandez was on at one point. All of these creative players are on the pitch, and none of them seem capable of actually breaking Leicester down to any sort of consistent degree. And that's a ginormous problem because it doesn't matter who we're playing, we still can't do it. And that's just stupid. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't be the case.
Well, let's move on from the Andy Carroll chat. We've been talking about it long enough. Gonzo, how are you feeling right now? Are you pissed off? Are you disappointed? You're not too bothered because we've got enough points on the board up until today. And when you look at the bigger picture over the last month, we've actually had a really good month, and we can just put it down to a bad day at the office and move on. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm disappointed because there was an urgency and there was something. There was some quality. There was a point in the second half. We'd had 7 corners. They'd had 7 corners. We were playing the champions today, and they were looking more like champions than they had in a little while. But I am disappointed, actually. I am very, very disappointed because I thought there was an opportunity there, and I'd convinced myself at half-time we were going to win 2-1. Fortunately, I didn't put a bet on it or anything like that. We're not going to get relegated. I think that much is clear. There's some pretty poor teams. I'm not seeing the results there, but I think Sunderland were losing 3 or 4-0 at one point, possibly. So I don't think we're going down, but I feel a little, if you ask me, I feel a little bit deflated, actually, because I think to a certain extent I bought into some of the hype at the end of last season. I was hoping some of these good players were going to come in. I'm not getting back onto the whole Andy Carroll. I thought Andy Carroll would probably be a useful substitute, coming off impact sub. We'd have somebody else better up front and just some better players generally. I think we'll see the season fizzle out a little bit unless... it's just been very, very interesting. I think there's some big questions about Bilic tactically, and I think the three wins against Burnley, against Hull, which were not great, and then Swansea subsequently sacked their manager, have possibly papered over a few of the cracks which are going to need addressing in the summer. I'd be very, very interested to see if it gets to the summer and if Bilic is offered a new contract or not. I'm sort of watch this space on that. But yeah, bit annoyed, bit irritated. But we'll go to the Man U game in fairly good spirits because it's sort of Christmas, New Year time,
The one area of the pitch I want to talk about very quickly before we start wrapping this up. This is the area of the pitch that annoyed me the most, actually, despite my rant about wide. The centre of our midfield. Noble was getting a lot of stick. Now, I'm not defending Noble, saying he had a good game, but people were saying, oh, the game's passing Noble by. He actually had the most touches in the first half, so it couldn't be passing him by completely if he's got the most touches. Oh, he's passing, he's rubbish today. He's got the highest pass succession. He's only passing backwards. Actually, in the first half, more of his passes went forwards than backwards. But the problem is, Noble wasn't that good. He didn't control the midfield. But his partner next to him was Chekyai, and I thought he was invisible almost. I thought I know I don't like Chekyai in centre midfield. Charlie, I come to you because I'm biased. You're quite biased with Kyai as well. But I thought our centre midfield today was just non-existent. We weren't winging it on the wings against Leicester because that's their strength. But their centre midfield was there to be got at. And I think that's where we fell down a little bit.
Yeah, and as you say, I mean, I'm not his biggest fan. I think technically he's all over the shop. At one point today, he tried to control the ball, it rolled away from him. He had to double control it. It was just a nightmare. But actually, I think he should have. I would have backed him to start. I said he should have started. I wanted him to start because I think, as you say, their centre midfield was there to be got at, and I think he is, out of all of our sort of deeper central midfielders, he is the most attacking. Whether he should be or not is another question, but he is. He makes these ridiculous runs forward. He gets into good spaces when he goes forward. So really, he should have been involved in that game a lot. And as you say, the game for me, like, he was absent. I didn't know what I can't remember him really doing anything of note whatsoever, and that's disappointing because he should have been more involved in that game. You know, Amarty's not that good of a player. I think he's average at best. He's a bit dodgy. We saw his challenge, all that stuff. Danny Drinkwater is good, but was going forward quite a lot. The space was there for Czech, and he didn't use it at all, and that's a big disappointment.
It'll be a big problem for them too as well, because we had Obiang and Lanzini on the pitch, so Bilic has the option to completely change the centre of the pitch for the match.
Who should have started? Those two, those are my favourite, would be my favourite midfield pairing. He didn't, because he won against Swansea. He wanted to keep together a winning team. It's almost like he's ticking boxes, Bilic. Oh, you never change a winning team, that old cliche. Well, yeah, I thought it was wrong. It was dysfunctional today, the central midfield.
Yeah,
he should have started, but he played badly.
I'll get your final word in a minute, as well as a West Ham man of the match. I think there's one or two players you can maybe scrape a pass mark for, a tick box for. We'll be back in a couple of hours, 7:30 tonight. We'll be doing our Manchester United preview live. If you're watching this after 7:30 on New Year's Eve, then it's already on the channel. Go check out. So make sure you subscribe and pop back. Final word, Charlie. What's your final word?
I'm super deflated. Gonzo used the term. I'm just super deflated. I think we should have gone to them, and they did play well. Leicester played way better than they have done in recent weeks, so completely fair play to them. But I really hoped we could have at least gotten a draw here and just continued to push forward.
Gonzo, you had something to say about the preview, and also, what's your final word?
Final word is, I thought, disappointed today, but we move on. It's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the world. I thought, just so as because we're going to do it in a second here, I do want to say something else. I thought Damari Gray was very impressive. I had to give a bottle of bubbly to anyone. It'd be him. From West Ham, I'll probably give it to Randolph. There's a flag. There's a giant flag being made. This is what I wanted to say, by a West Ham fan. As a group of West Ham fans led by Tim, they're getting a gigantic flag together. Now, the flag is going to be half the size of the East Stand. One of those things. Now, it gets passed over. The club are going to store it there, and what he's basically arranging to have it all made. So there's a bunch of West Ham fans who are getting this done. There are 5 designs online. Now, I'm going to put the link underneath, okay? So what you've got to do is you've got to follow the link and go to Survey Monkey, and there are 5 designs, East London, West Ham. It's all old Thames Ironworks. Choose one of the 5 designs of flag, click on it. It's had over 5,000 votes so far, so it's a big thing. It's going to get made, but we need all West Ham fans to get in. If we've got a big flag, it's going to be shown on telly in the stadium at all times to help the stadium feel a little bit more West Ham. We need you to vote and choose your design. So if you click onto this video, click on the YouTube link, click on the YouTube underneath, there'll be the website. Just click on there. It takes 20 seconds, and that would be great. Thank you.
Takes a lot quicker than Gonzo's description of the flag. Anyway, to vote back to the game, Charlie. Gonzo's given his West Ham man of the match to Randolph. Is there anyone for you that you wish to tick the box for say well done?
Randolph played well, but I'm going to give it to, despite his insane karate kick, I'm going to give it to Nordwhite. I think he played really well. I like him a lot. I don't think he's a right back by any stretch of the imagination, but he plays well, and he's one of the few people in our team who actually seems to complete a pass every now and then. So I'm going to give it to him.
My final thought is, I just want to say that I thought we were very soft today. A lot of people are saying Leicester City were dirty, blah, blah, blah. They probably were, but they also knew that we could be bullied. They probably looked at our lineup and licked their lips and said, we can bully this side. I thought they did. I thought they got in our heads a little bit. Nordby ended up doing his karate kick. That's exactly what Leicester City wanted to do. Just turn the screws, turn the keys on a lot of people. And Nordby eventually snapped. Carroll, you could see, was getting frustrated. You could just see the players were all getting wound up, and Leicester did what they wanted to do. Had he not been partly at fault for their first goal, I would have given my man match to Creswell. attacking wise, a lot, he was fantastic. But Albrighton got too much space. Was it Payet's fault? Possibly, but Creswell's half of that partnership, so he should actually be keeping Payet under control to an extent. So I'm going to go with a substitute. Fernandes, every time he comes on, he impresses. He impressed me again today. And when we're doing our Man United preview in 2 hours, he's going to be someone I want to talk about. So join us at 7:30. Come on to our forum at hammerchat.com. Give us your thoughts on the game. And of course, make sure you subscribe. And we will see you. If we don't see you in the preview, we'll see you next year.